ELIT Language Center. Training video for recording supervisors for ELIT online recordings. What do you need? The students will need a Headway student book at their level. With that, they will need a Headway workbook at the same level. And lastly, they will need a Headway workbook CD for that level. Preparing for the class. To prepare for the class, the teacher needs to go to the teacher's resources. To do that, go to the class level, click on that, then go down to the teacher's resources, click on that, and up will come everything you need for the whole course. Click on Teacher's Resources, then go to the lesson that you are studying today. Up will come then the resources needed for you to download for the students for today. Click on each resource and print it off. When you have printed them off, then decide how many copies you need and print the number of copies for the number of students in your class. Then you will need to go back to the classroom, upload the lesson, pause the lesson, and welcome the students into the class. Classroom administration. Firstly, the supervisor should take the attendance. Put a tick if the student is present and write an A if the student is absent. Students who have any more than 4 days absent cannot sit the end of month exam. Classroom and course management. The first thing the recording supervisor needs to do is to ensure that all students have the correct books and that they have opened the books at the correct page. Next, you need to play the recording and let the teacher deliver the course online. Sometimes the teacher on the online course will give the recording supervisor an instruction. If that's the case, pause the recording and carry out the instruction. In this case, the recording supervisor has been asked to put the class into groups. Once the activity is finished, make sure everyone is ready, direct them back to the screen, and continue with the course. If a student would like to leave halfway through a lesson, direct them to stay. And most importantly, always give encouragement. Group interaction. Sometimes in the course, the online teacher will ask for a group activity. You, as the recording supervisor, need to encourage the students to talk to each other on the activities required. Make sure all people are contributing and sharing their ideas. This is a very good way to ensure that they are speaking English. Sometimes the online teacher will ask the students to check their answers together. One of the ways to check their answers is to get each student to read one answer and the others can check or correct the answers at the same time. Make sure that each student, when they give their answer, are speaking loudly, clearly, and of course, if they are being corrected by other students, that the other students are using English to correct them also. Sometimes you will find students may not understand something. If that's the case, direct them back to the recording. Let them reread it themselves and see if they can understand. Sometimes a student may want to hear the teacher again. Simply replay the recordings as necessary. Organizing the English games. Sometimes your teacher on the online recording will ask you to get the student to play an English game. Download the game from the teacher's resources file as shown in the video and read the instructions from there. You may need to use a dice or a coin. If you need to use a coin, make one side of the coin worth 2 and the other side of the coin worth 3. Next, you need to give the student the sheet of paper to do the game and make sure each student has a counter. Get the student to spin the coin. Okay, this student has got 2 points, so what they need to do is start 1, 2. So watching closely, the counter starts on start, then goes 1, 2. And when you get to that point, you need to answer the question or name the object. If they get it right, they stay there. If they get it wrong, they go back 1, 2. Next, let the second person spin the coin. In this case, this student has got 2 also. So he gets his marker or his counter and he starts on start and 1, 2. After they both have a turn, then the first person spins the coin again, and this time she's got a 3 and moves 1, 2, 3. Listening. To play the listening, press play.
Hello, what's your first name?
My name's Bill.
And what's your surname?
Fraser.
How do you spell that?
Frasier.
And where are you from, Bill?
I'm from Chicago. I'm American.
Thank you very much.
When the recording has finished, simply press pause. Sometimes you find the student will ask for you to play the recording again. Simply go back to the recording, rewind and replay, and let the students listen one more time to the recording. Sometimes you will need to play the recording a third time. This is usually to check their answers. You shouldn't need to play the recording any more than 3 times. Marking the writing. The first way of marking the writing is to get the student first of all to check their own work and correct any mistakes. When they have done that, get the student to swap their work with a partner, and the partner can double check. The second kind of marking of writing is to get students, when they swap with their partners, to ask their partner a question about their writing if they don't understand something. Another way of marking writing is to get a student's passage and write it on the board, including the errors. Then get the students to correct the error either as partners or as a class. Another way of marking writing is that sometimes the online teacher has prepared a model passage for students to check. They need to check their own writing against the model writing and see if they have used the same kind of grammar concepts and ideas. And lastly, at the end of each lesson, the online teacher will give out homework for the class. You, as the recording supervisor, need to write on the board exactly what the homework is. And most importantly, you need to make sure that all the students know what the homework is before they leave the class. Students who miss classes. If a student misses a class, they can listen to the recording in your school lab, and you can upload the recorded lesson for them to watch. Please be aware that students are not allowed to access the recording from their own computer at home or outside the school. English outside the classroom. Encourage all students at any time to use their English in an everyday situation, for example, in shops and restaurants. And most importantly, if a student can make a friend with an English-speaking person, that would be, of course, the ultimate answer to learning English. Lastly, the recording supervisor needs to work with the recording. That means make sure that they understand how the recording works, and that can only come from experience. The second thing is they need to understand how the students think and what the students need from the recording. And lastly, and very importantly, in your school, you may be the recording supervisor, not necessarily the teacher. So there should be a teacher there in your school who can help you with any extra concepts that need to be taught. So ask that teacher if you need to get any extra information for the class. And lastly, good luck and enjoy the class.